Hey, this is Michael Monroe, and face the brutality, the concrete, the steel, the true face of rock and roll, and the brutally delicious. Check it out, brutally delicious. Isn't that beautiful? Check it out. This is Michael Monroe. Keep on rocking. See you down the road.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Bruce?
Good. Nice to meet you. Long time fan.
Okay, great to hear that. Somebody speaking Finnish.
Yes.
Joo, se oli meitsi. Kato, meitsi on yllättäen täältä Suomesta.
Aha, Riina.
Espoosta.
Moi, Riina.
Joo.
So what do you speak, English or Finnish?
No, English, because these dudes don't understand that this is the language of the future and they should be, brushing up on it.
Yeah, 5 million people in the world.
Yeah.
Like I said, language of the future. It's not there yet, but it's a journey,
Yeah, there might be 5 million people left after all. In the end of the whole,
True.
the whole shit house goes up in flames.
So are you in Finland?
Yeah, right now I am.
Yeah, I was reading the bio and you had moved to New York for a while. So I wasn't
lived
sure if
in
you were...
Manhattan for 10 years. Lived in Manhattan for 10 years. Before that in London for a little less than 5. And before that in Stockholm. First half a year on the streets in Stockholm when we started Hanoi Rocks in 1980. And yeah, I started out with nothing and I still got most of it left.
Nice.
Excellent.
That's awesome. So I have to be honest. I'm of a bit of a younger generation here. So I only got to. I'm 46. Come on. I only got to know Hanoi Rocks later on, like in my 20s, basically. Yeah. I mean, I had heard of Hanoi Rocks, but when you guys were really going, I was only like 8 or 9. And I'll never forget. I was sitting at the computer and I was searching. Oh, I want to figure out what Hanoi Rocks is all about. And I came across "Don't You Ever Leave Me." And my girlfriend at the time was like, "What are you playing?" And I was like, "Oh, it's this band Hanoi Rocks. They're fronted by Michael Monroe. I'm just researching them because I know they were a big influence on a lot of the bands that I like." And she's like, "This is the best song I've ever heard. We have to have this song." And then Until I Get You, she fell in love with that song. And that's just something that always stuck with me personally, was that like how music can bring people together in ways that are kind of unexpected.
Great to hear, man. That's really cool. That's the way it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Rock and roll definitely brings everyone together for sure.
Yeah.
And while I was prepping for this interview, I didn't know you had released a new record. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll go on Facebook and see what you're doing. And then I went on to YouTube, and I have a subscription to YouTube Music. So I was like, let me check out the new album. And to me, you're one of the few artists that every time you release a record, you get better and better and better and better and better. And you're always refining what you do.
Thank you. That's great to hear, man.
Because there's another point in my life in my mid-20s where I was going through a mental health crisis and I heard "A Day Late and a Dollar Short," which I don't even know how I came across that song, but it was another one of those moments. And I realized that you always come around in my life when things are either really good or really bad, and there's always something that you add artistically. I don't even know if the synchronicity is the word or not.
That's a great to hear.
But like even the new record, how you're talking about like everybody's nobody, like you got to let go of what was before because that happened already, and you have to appreciate what's now and moving ahead. And it's just, it hit me again. And I was just like, fuck, I need this right now.
That's great to hear, man. That means the world to me.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm not trying to be a,
that really means a lot to me. That's some the best kind of feedback you can have, that, that music touches and means so much for you. It's that was really great to hear. Thank you. Appreciate that. it really means a lot to me. And that means I'm doing something right.
After all these years, you're still doing something right.
I've added it to my I made a playlist of the entire record already, and it's now going to be playing in my car on repeat.
Cool, man. Yes, it's a special record. This one turned out really good. I mean, they're all special, but this one especially became everything just fell into place perfectly. I think we renewed the band's sound in the best possible way, production-wise and arrangement-wise, song-wise. There's a lot more air, and I mean, there was a new engineer I'd never worked with before in a new studio we went to just to try out a new thing, and it paid off. It really came together nice.
Who was it?
This guy Erno Laitinen. He's a Finnish guy. He's produced there's a Finnish band called Hello Helsinki, which Rina knows, I'm sure. Hello Helsinki is like Hello Helsinki. They have one of the biggest hits. They're some of the most hits of any band in Finland. They're like a pop rock band. So he'd been producing them, and he wanted to do a rock and roll record, for a while, and this was the perfect time for him. And he mixed Sammy Alpha's solo album. So I went to meet him, and he had a good vision. And in the end, he ended up being, more like with the band as a producer. So I credited him and the band as the producers because we kind of produced it together.
Right.
So
that was the other thing I was going to say is this record sonically sounds so much better than all of your previous records.
Thank you. I think so too.
And the vocal performances were spot on.
Oh, thank you.
In the age where a lot of people from the early 80s are losing their voice, yours only seems to be getting stronger, which is nice to hear. It's nice to hear, honestly.
I try to get better at what I do, so it's nice to hear that succeeding.
How did Slash get involved in this?
Well, I just sent him an email. I sent the song to him. I said, would you like to play a solo on this track? It's going to be the title track of my new album. And he was really busy. I knew he was doing promotion for us. He had an album coming out and everything. So he says, when did you need it by? So I said, well, as soon as, like now.
Like yesterday.
Like yesterday. And I said, well, if you don't have the time, I understand it. I was like, well, let me see if I can carve out a day for it. And 2 days later, we had the solo. So
wow.
He's such a sweet guy. He's a sweetheart. Such a sweet guy. Yeah. And a great solo too. It's a statement in itself. It's really off the cuff and very, I love the way it almost falls apart at one point and just comes together in the end. And, nowadays when everything's so perfectly in place, every note is being like Pro Tooled into, being perfectly, I mean, it has the human touch, and it's a good, great statement. That's where sometimes the best things are the mistakes, and there's an art form that's called perfectly flawed, and that's
great
to take into account, and also like the vocal for that song "Anti-Socialite." That was also a very different type of song for this band, and there's a danger of it becoming like pompous, kind of like a power ballad. We didn't want that to happen, and no big drums and no tum tum tum. We wanted to keep it small and intimate, and kind of like John Lennon's Imagine. Very simple and small, and that's the way we succeeded in that. And I had done the vocal. I had like a demo piano I had done myself, and I did that was the first vocal I recorded for the whole album. And then later on we had this guy Lemmy Statue, his piano player, genius, fantastic, dear friend of mine, one of the best piano players in the world, and he did the proper piano on it. And then one night I had a gig a couple of hours outside Helsinki. We were recording in Helsinki, Inkfish Studios, Inkfish. So I had a gig a couple of hours outside Helsinki the night before, and we went out so late that I got back to the studio in the morning. I'd only slept for 2.5 hours, but I wanted to try the vocal again for Anti-Socialite. And I said to Rich and Erno in the studio, I said, I'd like to try the vocal again. And they said, oh man, your vocal's great. It's just brilliant already. What's there? I said, yeah, I know it's good, but I know I can do better. So let me just give it a shot. And so I did one take, and they're like, wow, it sounds great. So with the 2.5 hours sleep, with the tired voices, it was perfect for that song, So I re-sang the whole vocal, and that's the vocal that's on the record.
Wow.
That's something that a lot of vocalists don't understand. You know, like sometimes you have to get yourself to a point physically to achieve the vocal that you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know, and did you know that when you were doing it? Were you like, okay, this is the tone I want? Or were you just like, I haven't had enough sleep, but I still want to get this vocal better?
It was just a hunch, just by instinct. I just felt like I wanted to do it right there and then. And as it turned out, I mean, something you cannot plan on it. I can't just like stay up all night and think, okay, now, okay, I'll be good now. It just happened. It just so happened that I only slept 2.5 hours, and I just felt like that moment. I felt like I want to give it a shot because I heard the new piano and everything. It sounded great. I thought, let me just give it another take. And I didn't feel like I had really given everything to that song. And then it's clearly it just happened to be the right moment. It's kind of like in the past. A lot of those Beatles records and some of the best music that was done, obviously they were not totally straight, and they were tripping or something, whatever. and sometimes it can be productive, like Speed and stuff like that, but you can't count on it. You can't, it'll always let you down if you start like, okay, I'm going to get high to this state of mind and then be that again. You can't recreate that. It just happens in the moment. So it's not something you can plan on.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell. I mean, those records, they're not going to happen again. I mean, those days are gone. It's maybe 100 years from now, they'll be considered as very valuable as Beethoven and Mozart and all that.
Oh, I'm sure they will be.
Yeah, I mean, David Bowie and Prince and all those genius artists. The Beatles records, they only had like 4 tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
Studios, and they still sound better than anything that they make these days.
Yep.
Make it these days. So music was made for the sake of music and not for marketing and what genre. And, back then, that's why it is. It does sound better. I mean, the people saying that it's not really nostalgia saying that old records are better. In the 50s, 60s, 70s, early 80s, the music was made for music's sake, and that was the motivation, and not like how we're going to market this. What is it going to be, grunge or heavy metal, or the record companies? The business has ruined a lot of the music because the music has no business in the music business. That's part of the problem.
Fair enough, Rena.
How do you feel about all the sort of add-ons if we go down this route? Like, I get the marketing and the genres and all that, but social media and stuff that
what's an add-on, you mean?
No, kaikki ulkomusiikilliset tekijät, joita
outside music, everything hasn't
the social media and the blah blah blah, that stuff that sort of brings you closer to the fans, but then I don't know, maybe also opens the door for communication that is less than constructive.
It's a way of the world. Yeah, it's the way of the world today. This day and age. To me, it's I post stuff on the Facebook, when it's something to mention and some photos, and then they go to Instagram and stuff. But I don't have Spotify. I don't write about I don't need to know when somebody admires like Alice Cooper or Little Richard or somebody, when they take a shower, when they go shopping, or what they're having for dinner.
Right.
The picture of the food that you eat. It's like, if I didn't have this career, then if I was a private person, I wouldn't have a Facebook or anything. Just my own business. It's part of the being in the public eye. That's what I do. It's a necessary evil, but I certainly don't. It's like a lot of work to post something all the time. I do as little as I can.
I saw some tour photos, you guys at airports and everything, and it looks like it's well thought out and well planned. I
don't know what tour photos.
Just I was following online on Facebook, and you have photos of you in airports with the guys. And
I try to, yeah. Last tour, this guy, people keep telling me, you should film stuff with now you're with the band. We're finally touring after over 2 years and not being able to tour.
Yeah,
with the band. So I try to remember. Okay, here we're at the airport where he just arrived in Frankfurt, and looking forward to the show. And he had the guys always say something silly. But we actually have a good time. We really have a good time. And even when we were in, was it Strasbourg? The plane was late and delayed, and we were on our way to Hellfest in France. And in the end, it was like 1:30 a.m. They said, "Okay, there's no flight. Got to get into a hotel the next day. Leave the next day." So I missed the whole thing. But I was supposed to do this thing with about the Lemmy statue. They had a statue of Lemmy in office. Yeah, I was supposed to be there. They had like put his ashes in there, and I was supposed to do this whole thing with Mickey D and Phil Campbell. And I was looking at the time, and I said, "Well, it's not looking." I called Mickey. I said, "It doesn't look like I'm going to make it. It ain't going to happen now." And then the flight was canceled. Oh, wow. But we're still having a good time with the guys, and all right, well, what are you going to do? Can't push the river. And then the next day, they said, "Oh, the flight will be happening the next day at 1." It was like 3:30 when we finally got to France. But I post stuff on sometimes, whatever. I have a lot of videos I filmed, but I don't know how to send it to. And I need a computer. I'm really slow with that stuff. So,
what's it like being back on the road again?
Oh, it's great. It's really great. I mean, traveling is because of the COVID situation. Also, a lot of flights have been canceled and stuff, and we've had a lot of 5 a.m., 7 a.m. I had to be at the airport by 3 or something. So a lot, not much sleep. There's a lot of sleep deprivation, but. Other than that, the gigs have been great. All the gigs have been fantastic. With this band, we have the second we hit the stage, that very instant, it's magic. It's really, really a lot of fun. And Alice Cooper shows were brilliant. We did like 7 shows opening for Alice Cooper in Europe, and that's the greatest show. I get to see the Alice Cooper show every night, and then he often asked me to come up to sing "School's Out" with him, and it's always a great.
That's great.
Amazing.
Yeah. My birthday actually was my 60th birthday was on June 17th, and we were in Germany in Zwickau playing in Germany, and Alex invited me on for School's Out, and then he had the Hunchback guy brought a birthday cake, and he sang happy birthday to me with the whole wedding. That was the best birthday
Congratulations, ever. By the way, on your big 6-0.
Thank you. Oh, there'll be a celebration concert on September 23rd in Helsinki at the Ice Hall. It's going to be like a special concert, special event with special guests and a lot of material stuff that with this band we haven't played. Also stuff I've never played live before, and lots of nice surprises. So September 23rd.
Oh, I would love to be there.
Or you be there, or you may be very sorry if you don't.
I'd have to get to Finland.
Yeah.
I'm in Washington, D.C.
I'm there.
I think Rena's going to have to be our correspondent for that one.
Yeah, we'll send her in.
Yeah.
Hey, did you ever imagine you'd still be doing this so many years later? I mean, you just said you're 60. That's quite amazing in a business that chews people up, right?
Yeah, I didn't even think I was going to be alive by the time I was 30. It's like one day at a time. But yeah, no, it's great. I mean, Alice Cooper said, "Michael, 60 is nothing. He's 74, and he's still having a great time doing it." I mean, he could have retired 30 years ago if he wanted, but he loves doing it. And you could tell, as long as he's doing it good, doing it well, and enjoying it, why not? So he's great. I mean, now that Little Richard is gone, I think Alice Cooper is the king of rock and roll now, right? He is the undisputed king of rock and roll. Because he's always he's always been rock, hard rock. That's always and that's timeless music. That's also one thing that will never go away, even though it's not in fashion, hasn't been for a long time. And but you find there's good music out there, and if you know where to look, you'll find it. And I always believe that rock will come back in a big way, because it's been so much. Been for so long, it's been the minority now. So I don't know what will happen, but as long as I'm here, rock and roll is going to be alive, and it'll always be there.
I think Heta Hyttinen is doing a grand job, like managing the bands that could bring rock and roll back, like Shiraz Lane. Have you checked them out?
Heta Hyttinen.
Yeah, she's managing Shiraz Lane, which is like
Shiraz Lane. Yeah,
some really good rising projectors right now. Check out their music if you haven't. Yeah.
I haven't checked the music. I heard about them. Yeah, there's a lot of good bands. There's still bands that when I do it.
They just opened for Kiss in Finland here.
Oh really? Wow. Good for them. Cool.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Heta, no, you didn't interrupt. That's good. Heta is she's a nice person. She's good.
She's fantastic. Yeah.
Sure, success. Look what Alice Cooper gave me.
Oh my God!
That's so cool.
Oh my God!
That's great.
It's the coolest thing.
Mega jealous.
The last show in Milan.
Wow.
That is a cool gift from it. Look at the pearl.
Is that for protection after the gig, or?
Yeah.
After the gig, he does these other knives that he throw that on stage. I mean, on my birthday, also when I came on stage, he has I had the swords. He pops the balloons that have the confetti and feathers and stuff, glitter inside. He gave me a sword. That's a dangerous combination. Me and a sword. Shocked too, So I was like, I was like a kid in a candy store. And the knives are real sharp too, The knives he has a dartboard in the backstage, and I said, "Well, you throw darts?" He says, "No, target practice with knives." He'll teach me too.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's rock and roll. Even at 74, it's like, okay, we're not going to get wasted today, but we're going to whip knives at the wall. Let's go.
That's right. That's healthier too.
Yes.
So this is kind of an odd question. Because listening to the record, the new record, where you're kind of looking back and saying, you know what, we got to accept the current and look to the future. You, by so many artists, are considered like a rock god. Do you know? Like you could probably, like for instance, I email Slash and ask him for a solo, and he's like, "Oh, I'm busy. When do you need it?" And you say, "Now." He's like, 2 days later, you have a solo. There's not very many people in the world that could get that done. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. I'm in a unique position. I feel privileged and to have been, and to have Alice Cooper sing "Happy Birthday."
Yeah.
So how do you stay humble?
In the first place,
how do you stay humble in a situation like that where you're basically a rock god to the rock gods?
I don't know about being a god, but it's I appreciate, I really it's very, very humbling to me, always been a humble person, and I've never gotten carried away with never fallen for the trappings of fame. It's been easier. For me, the one condition I allowed myself to do this is that never lose your soul along the way. Never become if you become an asshole along the way, no money or fame would ever be worth it. If you change as a person, you got to stay true to yourself and stick to your principles and keep honest from the heart, and never let anything change that, and you'll be on a solid foundation because you do it on your own terms and don't compromise for the wrong reasons. And then you're on a solid foundation, and you do your own thing, your art. And then after you manage to do that, then if it becomes commercially successful, then that's extra. That's okay. Sure, I'll take the money if it is to come. But first you got to do it for the right reasons. First you got to do it for the right reasons, and that's the most important thing, And I don't need much to be happy. Like I said, I didn't even have a home when I started, so I'm quite happy to be, I have my wife, I have my 2 cats, and at home, and that's all I need. And the best band I could hope for are the best guys to play with, and we're the best of friends. We have a great time playing live, and they're great players, and we have a lot of great creative energy, and everybody writes, and it's actually really a band situation. So this band, I could play before or after anybody in the world, no problem. I'd be happy to.
That's great.
So yeah, can't complain.
And you've been together with your wife for like a significantly long time. I'm hesitant to say.
On July 3rd, 19 years we've been married.
Good for you.
Yeah, I was going to say like 2 decades. So it wasn't that far off. So I'd say that's a testament to you actually really, really staying humble and staying the person that you were. Because, that's something that everybody says, like, meet the same people on the way down and all that, blah, blah, blah. But then, still kind of act like an asshole. But you are very much known as a nice guy. And that has value to it, I think.
Yeah, that's true. My late wife, we were together 16 years, and then I didn't think I was going to find another life companion, but I was lucky enough to find my current wife, and happily married for 19 years. Yeah, it was, like you were saying, there's a lot of people when you meet have been together for a long time, like Alice and Cheryl Cooper. I mean, they're great. It's often they're, you can tell that they're balanced people. I mean, Alice is the sweetest guy you could ever meet. He's really a nice guy and really together, and and then he has a long-term relationship that speaks highly of people like that. Often, Rick Nielsen, the guitarist from Cheap Trick, he's been together with his wife for over 40 years at least.
Right.
So that's it's great, I like when people are together like that. And what else? What do you want from life? It's we're lucky enough to find that. And even before I had anybody, I was better alone than in bad company. So if I'm lucky to find somebody, I'm a freak. I'm actually an exception to the stereotype of the rock singers. I've never been with a groupie. I could never imagine spending a night intimately with some strangers, let alone some sleazy old groupie. And God, maybe it's because growing up in Finland, but there's so many rock musicians. When I see interviews and like American guitar players or whatever, they ask, why did you stop playing guitar? To get chicks, man. Okay, for chicks? Okay, well, good thing you're lucky you could play a little on the side. Yeah.
What was it like opening for Guns N' Roses? They played Wembley. You guys played Wembley, did you not?
Yeah, we did. It was great. Although the first night we did 2 nights. We were booked for 2 nights, and the first night it was from 4:30 to 5. Was the first. Then there was Gary Clark Jr. was playing for the second opening band. So the first night the doors didn't open. They were supposed to open the doors 3:30, and the doors didn't open. And we were there at 4:30, ready to go, and there's an empty stadium. They said, well, I'm not going to let you play to an empty stadium. So I was okay, fine. I said, I don't mind. I'll play to the security people, all these yellow people with yellow jackets. And then, but they said, okay, we have to wait. So we waited and waited. And then about 5 to 5, they told us, okay, your slot went by. We couldn't play. The first night we didn't play at all.
Oh, wow.
Then they said, nobody knows why the doors were held for 2 hours. About 5:15, Gary Clark Jr. he didn't know if he was going to play either. But then they said the show's going to be on, and they opened the doors about 5:15, 5:20 or so. People started pouring in, and Gary Clark started playing. But the next day we played. The next day everything went great. The first night, the Friday night, I was like, oh, the greatest show we ever almost played. But the second night was great.
That's a Spinal Tap moment right there. Perfect.
But the second night, then Saturday we played. Everything went well. They opened the doors at 3:30 like they were supposed to, and we rocked even harder. We did a killer show, and I had great feedback for it, and it was cool. It was a great night.
Since you have such a blues kind of undertone in your music, what was it like watching Gary Clark Jr. play after?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah. I can see why they like him, why he's touring with them a lot. It's cool. And they were nice guys. But it sounds good. I'm glad he's playing traditional bluesy kind of stuff, which is there's never too much of that, especially in this day and age. I thought it was very good.
Sweet. That's going to bring us to our time here, Michael. I've got Zoom is telling me I got like 2 minutes left.
Okay.
So if fans want to go out, I Live Too Fast to Die Young is already out. It came out on June 10th. They can go pick that. It's a true honor talking to you today because, like I said, I've been a fan since the early 80s and I've followed you all along. So wonderful. And I know we tried to set this up once before and it didn't work out. So thank you for taking the time.
Oh, I'm glad we got it happening. Thank you.
Well, my friend.
Keep on putting out the music, man.
Yes,
I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much.
Catch you at the show, Michael.
Thank you. All right.
Cheers, my friend.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye. Bye.